All right, so our topic for today, we're going to be talking about verbs, but more specifically, we're going to be talking about something called complementary infinitives. Okay, so make sure you've got that topic down at the top of your paper, nice and big, so when you're studying for the test, eventually, which will come, you know where to look for your grammar notes and all that, all right? Okay. Yeah. How many eyes do you say when you say hi to the captain?
2. Aye.
Yeah, just 2. Sorry. That's the second time we've talked about captains today. All right. Let's write some examples down and we'll talk about them. All right, make sure that you skip lines. Okay, that's our first example. Repeat after me, please. Sextus.
Sextus.
Sub arbore.
Sub arbore.
Dormit.
Dormit.
All right, so first things first, I'm going to ask you for the markup. We want to find our verb. That is the key here. Who can find it? What is my verb? Jen.
Dormit.
Dormit. Very good. So we're going to mark that up with a what, everyone?
B.
Yeah. All right, now it ends in the letter T. So is that singular or plural, everyone?
Singular.
It is singular, which means my subject has to be singular. Do we have one here?
Yes.
Who is it?
Sextus.
Very good. What do I do with subjects? How do I mark those up?
S.
Nice. Exactly right. Okay, now sub arbore. What am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with that? Circle that. Okay. What is that grammatical unit called? What is that grammatical unit called, Robert?
Prepositional phrase.
Very good. That is a prepositional phrase. Okay. Now, translation. Who would like to give me the translation here? Siri, please.
Sextus under the tree sleeps.
Okay, Sextus under the tree sleeps. Can you reword it to be
Sextus sleeps under the tree.
Sextus sleeps under the tree? Good. Very good. Who was singing that? 'Cause that was pretty funny. Was that you? That's clever. Okay. Now, huh? So if I write a Latin sentence and if I write another Latin sentence, just leave room for like translation or markup. That's all. Okay. Now, let's talk about, this looks like a pretty standard sentence, right? That we've seen so far. Pretty simple. Okay, let's talk about verb types for a second. That's a Y. Okay, the first verb type that we're going to talk about is your regular old linking verb. All right, if we were to put a definition to that, a linking verb, what exactly is a linking verb? Describe it to me in somewhat grammatical terms. Monty, what do you think?
A verb that links two subjects together or two subjects together is.
Okay, so it's a verb of, I'll say it's a verb of being that links to things together. We'll say subjects, yeah. Okay, that's our definition. We'll leave it as is. All right, any questions on this one so far? All right, now in terms of Latin, we've seen 2 forms of linking verbs. We've seen the singular and the plural. Can someone give me those forms? Do you think we remember what they are? Jason, can you give me one?
One is est.
Okay, one is est. And what's the other one? Et is and. It's okay. It does look like it though. Sunt, yes. Okay, so that's est and sunt, right? The difference is one is singular, he, she, or it is, and the other is they are. Okay. Another type of verb that we're going to talk about are your normal, regular, old, run-of-the-mill action verbs. Okay. Now we know that there are two types of action verbs, right? But what is an action verb? Can someone put a definition on it, kind of? Jack, what do you think?
It's pretty much what it sounds like. So it's like a word that becomes an action. It's like run.
Good. Okay, so it's a word that indicates action. Now, in that category, what are the two types of action verbs that can exist? We talked about it with respect to the word trans, meaning across. Do we remember? Trans. In other words, can it take a direct object or not?
Oh,
What is that?
present and transitive verb.
Good. Okay, so underneath we're just going to put in parentheses, could be either transitive or intransitive. Okay, now let me ask you this, just as a quick review. Transitive, can it take a direct object or not?
Yes.
Yes, it can, right? Because intransitive, can it or can it not?
No.
It cannot, right? What part of the word intransitive negates, says that you can't? In, yeah, exactly, in. It negates that, sweet. Okay, so that's action verbs. Now we're going to talk about one other type of verb, and it is called an infinitive.
Infinitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like with romance languages.
Hmm?
When you're speaking like Spanish and other romance languages.
Yeah, they do exist in Romance languages. All right, so essentially, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Maybe it'd be like to run or to sleep.
Mm-hmm. All right, so two examples of an infinitive would be like what Monty said, to run or to sleep.
Oh, Miss Lay.
Yeah, what's up?
Wasn't this infinitive? Like they don't normally act as verbs?
Well, I'd like you to consider them as a verb. They don't, well, they're,
Like I like to run or to sleep is what I like.
so you're saying that they act more like nouns or modifiers.
Yeah.
Okay, that is true, but for the purposes of Latin, just try and think of them as like a verbal thing. So it has to do with the realm of verbs.
Oh.
Yeah, so just think of it as like a verbal something. And there are a couple other things that'll be like this too, verbal somethings that act like nouns.
Like gerunds.
Like yeah, exactly like gerunds. Like gerunds, like participles, those kinds of things. But we'll get to that. Those are super fun, by the way. Love it. Okay, why do you think it's called an infinitive? Can we break this word apart? Let's break it apart. Okay. Infinitive. What does this part of the word look like?
Finite.
Finite. Okay, finite. If something is finite, what does that mean?
There's a limited amount.
Limited supply, like our limited amount. There's a limit. Okay, so the word in Latin does translate to like a threshold or a limit or an end. Okay, so we'll talk about it as in terms of finite. Okay, now what do we know about the in prefix? What does that do to the word? It negates it. So what does this mean? It does not have an end. It does not have a limit. That is what infinity is. There is no limit. The limit does not exist. Okay? N equals not. Okay, so let's think about this, right? Verbs typically have tense. If I were to say to you, I am sniffing, does that indicate that there is a time when I am doing that? Yeah, when am I sniffing? If I am. Right now. I will eat a whole pizza.
Will.
It's happening in the future. I was walking a dog. Past, right? These are all temporal expressions. Okay, temporal expressions. But the infinitive, right, if I just say to run, can you assign a time to that?
No.
No. So think of the infinitive almost outside of the time spectrum, right? There is no past, present, or future. It's just like what the basic verb means. Okay, does that kind of make sense? Yeah? All right. Yeah, I always think that that's kind of cool to talk about. Okay, now, the infinitive is usually going to be translated as to blank. When I give you your vocab lists, right? You guys were just looking at those?
Yeah, it's too blind to.
Okay. So for example, let's take a look at this verb here.
Oh, that's the word.
Oh yeah. What's that
Conjugate.
again?
When you're
Means
to see.
to look or to seek. Yeah.
Good. It means to seek, to ask for. Right? So when I give you the definition, oftentimes I just give you the infinitive form, right? The definition meaning to seek. Each of these forms means something specific. Do we remember the pattern of how that goes? Monty?
I seek to seek. I seek seek.
Okay, I seek to seek. I seeked, yes, but in English it's like sought. Yeah, it's a little weird. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I seek. Yeah, English is super funky.
I seek
To seek, I sought. Sought. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that-
Okay, but most textbooks will often just give you the infinitive definition. Okay, so that's what an infinitive is. Now, the key is learning how to recognize the infinitives. So what I'd like you guys to do is take a minute and look at your chapter 5 vocabulary list. If you have it on paper. Which you should. I did give you a printout. And if someone, does someone need it? Actually, I think I might have extra.
You want us to mark every word that's
No, don't mark anything up. I just want you to look at the forms, okay? In other words, look at the infinitive form. Look at the second principal part. And tell me if you notice a pattern. See if you can notice a pattern amongst the verbs. Okay? Once you've got it, you can put your hand up. If you've got it, you can put your hand up.
Say that again, please.
Look at the verbs and see if the second principal part of the verb, like of all of them, and see if you can notice a pattern or a commonality that they all have. Okay. Any commonalities? All right, Jade, what are you noticing? Yeah, okay. All the infinitives end with a vowel and RE. Okay. So here's your little cheat sheet.
Oh, I see it now.
Okay, how do I recognize an infinitive? Whoops, to the. There we go. Forgot an I. There must be no captains nearby. Okay. So our only options are ARE, ERE with a long mark over it, ERE with no long mark over it, or IRE. Okay? So every second principal part, at least for now that I'm giving you, is going to have one of those endings. Yes.
I really doubt that this is for all verbs, but for at least for the verbs that you gave
Oh, the fourth principle part, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fourth principle part, it's useful. It helps us with those verb-like things that Tim mentioned before, like participles. So they look like verbs, but they act like nouns. They're kind of weird, adjectives rather. But that is a good pickup. Pattern recognition is important. Okay. Now, just to kind of give you some information. Actually, you know what? I won't do that. I don't want to overload. Okay. So that's how you recognize an infinitive. If it's a verb-like thing and it has one of those four endings. Okay? Now, how are they used? One common use of the infinitive is what we call complementary infinitives. Okay, so the complementary infinitive is, how do I word this? All right, we'll work it this way. An infinitive that is used to complete the meaning of another verb. Okay, and that's why it's called complementary, because it completes another verb. And we'll look at an example here. Tissue, we did. Does anyone see
I
them?
also need some tissues.
You don't see them? Shoot.
I think that's awesome.
You can. I'd go across the hall to Miss Arenaro's office.
Can I also go and pick some? I'm gonna get it.
Okay. All right, so complementary infinitive. Are there any questions so far, or does this kind of like make sense grammatically? Do we think we're following along? All right, Jack.
I was wondering, if we look at the regular verbs, the second one ends with like LLE and SSE. Are you gonna be like testing on those or no? Like this one. This one.
They are important. They are important, but what we're actually we'll need we'll need 3 of those today, actually. Okay. So look at this sentence here. Okay, this is a perfectly fine Latin sentence. Please repeat. Sextus.
Sextus.
Descendere.
Descendere.
Timet.
Timet.
Okay, now find our verb. What's my regular conjugated verb? What's my regular conjugated verb form here? Rob? So that technically is a verb, but what is it though? It's got an ERE at the end, so it's it's an infinitive, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark that up as an inf. Okay. What am I going to do with Timet? What does Timet look like? Tim?
And like a adverb. No, an adjective.
Mm-mm.
I think it means like fear.
It means fear, is afraid, or fears. So what is that?
A verb.
It's just a regular verb, yeah. Okay, and who's my subject of Timet? Everybody?
Sextus.
Sextus. Okay, so the translation here is as follows. Sextus, now this is Timet. What is he?
He's scared. He's scared.
He's scared, but we'll word it this way. Fears to descendere. To what? To climb down. Good. Okay? Right, because I could just say sex to spheres. That sounds okay, but I feel like we need a little bit more. We need it to be a little bit more of a complete thought. All right, let's try another one. What?
I thought it was T-E-M-I-T. Was it that another spelling?
T-E-M-I-T? Temit? That's okay. I've actually never seen that word. It might be a word, but I don't recognize it right off the bat. Yeah, it's T-I. Right, because think about English, right? If you're timid, what are you?
Scared.
You're like frightful, a little flighty, right? It comes from timeo, to fear, or to be afraid. Okay. Okay, second sentence, we've used a little bit of English in there, but that's okay. We're just going to let it ride. All right, Mr. Crane, repeat. Arborem ascendere vult. Okay, so we know, I'll tell you Mr. Crane is my subject. What's my main verb here? What's my main verb? It would be vult. Right, so if I were to just say Mr. Crane wants,
That feels empty.
it feels like there's more. We need to have a little bit more there,
Yeah,
right?
because then that's an incomplete thought.
It's an incomplete thought, so we need to complete it. And what are we going to complete it with, everybody?
And then
Yeah, the infinitive. All right. So which is my infinitive? Arborem or ascendere? Ascendere. Right, because it ends in E-R-E. Go ahead.
Mr. Crane wants to climb the tree.
No, so here, what's a little tricky about this, and what does this word end in?
Yeah, so it's a direct object.
It's got to be a direct object. Yes, exactly. Good. All right, good. Good question. Very good question. Mm-hmm.
then go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
Go to the bathroom.
Go to the bathroom.
I don't like water.
Go to the bathroom. Drink some water. Stop.
You might need that life jacket if you're drinking from the toilet.
Two more,
Good luck, soldier. Drink from toilet water.
Okay, so this is our complementary infinitive. Do you guys see how it works? Right? It usually completes the meaning of a verb. Let's try another one. Is somebody yawning? Or you? Oh, should we write the translation?
I'm tired.
Mr. Crane, sorry, wants to ascendere, to climb the arborem. Yep. Okay, let's do one more, and then I think we're gonna do something else. Okay. Whoops. Okay, some of these words you might not have seen before, but that's okay. So who or what is my subject here, everyone? Flavia. And what is my main verb, everybody? It's going to be wolt, yeah. Okay, now, I can't just say Flavia wants because that sounds super empty. We need to complete the thought. So, we need an infinitive. What is my infinitive here? Iari. This is a weird one. Okay, it comes from eo ire iwi itis, meaning to go. To go.
Oh, it's like here in Spanish.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay, did you take Spanish before?
Last year.
Ah. Okay. Good. That actually might help us out a bit. All right. In orbem, what am I going to do with that?
Oh, Dio.
Circle it.
What? Dio?
Not Dio.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
Circle it, right? If the in wasn't there, it could be a dio because it ends in an M. But, all right, thank you, soldier. I'm glad you were safe.
He was sick.
Okay, now, Flavia, does someone think they can translate most of this sentence, if not all of it? I want to give it a try. Jason, what are you thinking?
Flavia wants to go in the something.
Okay, so let's use our English now. If you're urban,
Wants to go in the city?
Yeah.
Flavia's.
Flavia wants to go into the city.
Let's go.
Just Flavia's not good girl.
Flavia's chill. This is Sextus. That little gremlin.
Sextus is not a gremlin.
Yes,
he
he
does.
is.
You're insulting the rest of us
He's a
gremlins.
little
What do
puny
you-
little
What do
goblin,
you
you know?
consider
What's a
sexist?
what's a gremlin anyway?
He's the reason why you wake up in the
I don't know.
morning. Like, he tickles your toes.
A
He's
pest?
goblin.
What's a gremlin?
Little gremlin, little goblin.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do, let me put maybe 2 sentences on the board. You guys are gonna work on marking up and translating them, and then we're gonna move to something else. Does that sound fair? Yeah? Okay.
Ever move to the passage?
Nope.
Not doing my passage.
Nope, we're doing something else today.
Yes, he is.
No, it's just not. Sextus is right up the wall.
Let's pick a good one.
I actually remembered Lupus from Professor Lupin.
Mhm.
That's why he got, that's how he got his name, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Because he turns into a werewolf.
No, he is a werewolf. He plays the
No.
wolf.
Well, yeah, he
J.K.
turned into a
Rowling
werewolf.
just gave him that name because
He is a werewolf.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
If he turns into a werewolf, then he probably he'll be a.
Okay, please repeat. Lupus
Lupus.
sextum conspicere non potest. Okay. So write down that sentence. Write it down. Try and mark it up on your own. So identify what the subject is. Is there a direct object? Possibly. Is there a verb? Is there an infinitive? Okay. And then we'll talk about it in a moment.
Miss Lay,
Tim
what is the use of the macro?
Huh?
What is the use of macro?
Partially for pronunciation, partially for meter.
Yeah.
Like words have naturally long and short syllables. And that's going to come into play when we start reading Latin poetry. Right? Like you have, like in a song, right? You have beats per measure kind of deal.
Did we make
You've seen, I actually don't remember if you've learned from Spicker. You might not have.
No, we have. It means
Yeah,
catch
side
side.
of.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wait, that was chapter 4's vocab. Yeah, conspicio, conspicere. Conspexi, conspectus, to catch sight of. Okay, who thinks they've got the markup for me? Who thinks they've got the markup for me? Someone I possibly haven't heard from today. I've seen the same hands over and over again. And I'm glad you're participating, those of you who have been, but the rest of us need to help carry us home. All right, Genevieve, go for it.
Lupus is the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Sextum is the direct object.
Good.
Conspicere is the infinitive.
Nice.
And then protest is the verb.
Very good. Exactly right. Okay, everyone make sure your markup reflects exactly what's on the board. And then let's translate this together. So, the lupus. What is a lupus?
Wolf.
Wolf. Okay, so the wolf.
The wolf
Non-potest is what?
Could not catch flight off.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
No, not able.
Is not, yeah, we'll say it that way. Is not able, conspicere,
Side up.
to catch sight of who?
Sextus.
Sextus.
Yes, unfortunately, Sextus will not be eaten.
No!
Okay.
You guys feel so strongly about Sextus. It's pretty funny.
I hate him so much.
Okay.
I want him to get eaten alive by a wolf.
Unfortunately.
Let's do one more. Let's just do one more.
He needs to
Mm.
perish.
Cornelia, eaten by the wolves.
Aw, Cornelia's chill.
No,
Keep it like a
Lord.
Yeah, I know, but Cornelia's so chill.
Or Cornelia.
Okay. So take a minute, mark this up, see what we've got, and then we'll come together and finish this sentence.
What's the verb word?
Silwam. Sorry, do you not know that word?
What does ambulatory
What is it,
mean?
Yeah, what is
what?
You know,
It's
it's for chapter 5 vocab, that's why.
Too long.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Soon in the forest.
Mhm.
What is told can I do?
Okay, who thinks they've got the markup? Alice.
Cornelia is the subject, and Silouan is the preposition.
Great.
Ambula is infinitive, and optus is the.
Very good, exactly right. Okay, so let's trust our markup and let's translate in correct order. So, Cornelia, we're going to start with her.
It's able to.
Whoa. Chill. Chill.
Chill, Tim, chill.
Yes. Okay, so potest, Tim, what is potest?
Is able to.
Is able. Good. Now, ambulare. Ambulare, how am I going to translate that? To walk. Okay, where?
In the
In the
woods.
woods.
Good.
Forest.
In the forest.
Fortunately,
Fortunately, Cornelia did not get eaten by wolves. Fortunately, sexy sport devoured.
All right, do you guys think you have a good idea of how these complementary infinitives work, right? All the takeaway is they just complete the thought of another verb. Okay, they're just helping another verb. Any questions on that? Yes.
Can you just go like before?
You're looking about word order? Okay. So typically in English, right, you notice that we've got our regular verb here and the infinitive comes after it. In Latin, it's flipped. So the main verb is going to come at the end and the infinitive is going to come sometime before it, right? It could be anywhere though. So this sentence could be Cornelia ambulare in Silouan potest. That is okay. That's grammatically all right.
The infinitive sometimes come before the word.
Say that again?
What do you mean by the infinitive sometimes come before the verb?
Like in this example, so like if you notice, look at this one. The infinitive is up here and the main verb is back here.
I mean, like, what do you mean by sometimes? Like, is this a time where the infinitive is back the verb? Is like after the verb?
If the author is feeling like they want to make a particular statement about something, like if they want to make a point, sometimes they'll flip the typical word order to draw attention to that one thing. And in poetry, oftentimes, it's like the words.
Do that.
Yeah, you can do that, which is cool. It's cool. It's hard, but it's cool.
He's shocked, guys.
Like, English can't do that. That's why Latin poetry is so cool, right, Dora?
Or Dora.
Sit up. Okay. Any questions on complementary infinitives, or do we think we got it?
Yeah.
So if I gave you a quiz on complementary infinitives right this second, we would be all right.
No, I'd be fine
yeah,
actually.
it
Let's
is.
do it. Let's boost my quiz
Alright,
grade.
question.
Yes. No.
Yeah, I suppose you can.
It's a lot of offense to the face. Is there?
You just want to wear the life jacket, I think. That's what
You
this
need
is.
to shut your mouth. I look like sex.
No, I mean, I'm blonde.
I'm not blonde.
Is Marcus a Chad?
I don't have the blonde hair whatsoever. Stinson, my
All
hair
right,
is
so that's
dark
it for the
brown.
grammar lesson. I'm going to stop the recording.